Hi folks, Ricky Tang here, and you find me on BMW's R1300RS. Now you'll laugh at this. First observation, I've just spent the last 15 minutes stuck in a lay-by trying to work out how to adjust the windscreen. It's not that. System settings, I just look, connections, display, brightness, state of my content, reset all, range. How the hell? There must be more options. The screen must be adjustable. Must be. It simply must be. What the hell? Mode. That's all. Road. Ah, what's that? Ah, right, okay. ACC, heating. Why can't you adjust the screen? Oh, come on. Turns out you push and you lift the screen yourself, which is fine, but I just wasn't expecting it. Now, being a BMW demo machine, unsurprisingly, this R1300RS SE has a few add-ons. I have radar front and rear, so I've got front collision warning. I've got the indicators on the mirrors to let you know if there's a vehicle or obstruction close by to the rear and to behind. And that gives us adaptive cruise as well. And it's a machine like this that could potentially sway me from my current BMW S1000XR. Now, I do love the XR dearly, so this bike will have to be doing something pretty special to make me consider trading my XR in. And if it doesn't manage it, that's nothing really against this bike. It's just that maybe it's missing a special something that'll, you know, tempt me into spending £10,000-12,000 into trading in my bike or selling it and buying a new 1300RS. Okay, ergonomics then, first impressions. This is my first time on the RS. I've ridden the R1300R, which is the naked version of this machine. That has a more upright riding position. Not hugely different to this one, but as you can see, we've got above the top yoke clip-ons, and they're angled downwards. So certainly a slightly more sporting riding position, but to be honest with you, I am pretty upright. And if I sit back a bit, if I was cruising, not that I condone one-handed riding, but you could sit really upright there if you're cruising with one hand on the bars. But even with both hands on the bars, you're only very slightly bent forward. So the riding position is agreeable for the top half of my body at 5'7" or 170 centimeters. Yes, I am a hobbit, sis. And in terms of the legs, I do feel a little bit on this bike that I'm sat fairly low down. Feels a bit like an old school riding position. Higher seats are available for this bike. And if I was to plump for one of these machines, I think I might opt for the higher seat height. But the leg angle, it's swept back a little bit from the knee, but not a tight angle really, not at all. And I'm starting to get a bit more sensitive to tight knee angles as I age. However, if I had much longer legs, if I was a 6-footer with 34-inch inseam, maybe things would feel a little tighter. But I don't think my knees would get trapped. This is speculation now, because I'm not 6 foot and I haven't got a 34-inch inseam. Just like there's no scallops on the tank for the knees to get caught in if I had longer legs. Oh, this road's pretty awful. But the damping is taking it like a champ. This has got, I think, DESA, ride height adjustment and all that sort of stuff on this machine. And this is definitely smoothing out the hard edges on all these bumps. And there are a lot of bumps. Don't know why I'm following this Mini. I thought this was the diversion because there's a road closed sign. I don't think this is the diversion after all. I don't know. I think I might be still heading towards somebody's garden. Oh no, there is a diversion sign. Look at that. Okay, we'll take it. Hold on. This is where that first piece of tarmac was awful, but the suspension was pretty impressive. However, there's one thing I've noticed with the road mode related suspension setting, and that's when you get on the front brakes. There's quite a lot of fork dive on the front brake in road mode. Now, damping is adjustable electronically within the settings for road and dynamic mode, so you're not out of luck if you want to adjust things. There's no manual adjustment on the front end. It's electronically controlled. I'm not sure if we've got, you know, preload, rebound and compression. I don't think we've got the full suite, but maybe there's a way to resist some of the fork dive when you get on the brakes. Certainly when you switch to dynamic mode, the front is better supported, and there's less dive when you get on the brakes. Got the fan kicking in here. Can I get to see what my temperature's like if I do settings here? No, not settings. All the way over. Bosh, 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 bosh. What are you saying? 87 Celsius. Really? It's quite low for the fan to kick in. Maybe it just come down because the fan kicked in. There you go. So it's just creeping up again. There you go. Went to 96 degrees, and that's when the fan came on. Drops quite quickly. You see the excellent BMW instruments here, although it's fair to say they haven't changed in quite a long time now. Compared to KTM, for example, they're looking a little bit dated, maybe not as functional as some of the latest and greatest in the market. But if you're coming from an older machine of pretty much any sort, you'd be blown away with the options you got available on the instruments. One thing it's got very much in common with the R1300R, which is unsurprising because it's the same engine and gearbox. The gearbox is very mechanical. Now, it doesn't hurt to use the gear lever, it doesn't bang against your foot, but there's a most definite click bordering on a clunk when you change gear. One thing it'll do well, I've just discovered, it'll use a quick shifter quite happily on a neutral throttle. So if you're just holding a steady throttle, quick shifter changes smoothly. But when you're accelerating and using the quick shifter, there's a bit of a lurch to it. So if you feel inclined to use the clutch instead, we have a hydraulic clutch. The lever action is requires a bit of a pull. Some years ago I was trying to come up with a scoring system for clutch lever actuation, which I never really persevered with. I think 10 will be the lightest clutch pull you might experience on the motorbike, and 1 out of 10 is like bad news, and that would be like one of the hardest clutch pulls you might come across. How would I score this one? 6 out of 10. It's okay, it's not too hard, but if you have problems with your grip, maybe if your grip isn't that great and you're in stop-start traffic using the clutch a lot, I can imagine how that might get a little bit tiring for your left hand. Oh. What I really like is the auto blip when you go down a gear. Perfectly judged amount of revs. I'm not talking dynamically, I'm talking about the noise it makes. Oh, and there's also a nice kind of slipper clutch action there on the way down. Generally speaking, when you roll off the throttle, there's quite a bit of engine braking. But if you're downshifting aggressively, then the slipper clutch comes in, and there seems to be very little chance of locking the back end up while you're going down the gears. Maybe that'd be a different matter if you're going down the gears aggressively in the wet, but then I'd argue, why would you be doing that? do find it quite endearing that with the performance this bike has on tap. At low speeds, the bike sounds a little bit like a diesel van. There's not just the engine and the firing order, it's kind of the transmission noise as well. Coming on and off the throttle. Just a quiet whine, nothing's offensive, nothing's too loud. Just sounds a little bit like a van. But we are Euro 5 plus, aren't we? So the bike has to be quiet in terms of engine noise and exhaust. So if you want it to be louder, you could do something about that. Yeah, so a comment I can make, at speeds I'd rather not display. The screen in its low position is giving me quite a lot of noise. Not too much in the way of turbulence. That's not too bad. There's just quite a roar going on. Let's swap it over. Yeah, let's lift it up and try again. Yeah, situation in terms of wind is much better with the screen up. Still not as quiet as I want it to be, but wind roar is subjective, wind noise subjective, turbulence is subjective. You might not have the same thoughts that I do when you sample this bike for yourself. One thing that isn't subjective, I'm telling you now, is the torque on this machine, the power. I'm still in road mode. I've mostly been in road mode. And when you're accelerating, in road mode, it feels a bit like the bike's giving you maybe 70% of what you're asking for. But even then, at higher revs, it's hauling ass. It's going quickly. But what I like about dynamic mode, oh, I might be able to test it now. If I just put it in road mode, you may be able to tell, you may not be able to tell. There's no one behind me. I'm in second gear, let's say 26 miles an hour. I'll give it a good twist of the throttle. It builds, but it's kind of progressive. Let's go dynamic and do the same thing from 26. This is second gear. It physically is, it accelerates harder for a good twist of the throttle. Dynamic gives you more of what you're asking for. And when you're in dynamic, this bike becomes a bit of a mad thing, a missile. And you're not waiting for the revs to climb up to the top end before you kind of get all that torque. It's a great thing about this 1.3 litre engine. Pretty much anywhere in the revs, it goes hard. And I love the boxer twin for that. This thing accelerates so well. There's a lot of excitement to be had here on this bike. And unlike the R1300R, you're not having a real battle with the wind pressure. That's awesome. The way it gets to about 7,000 RPM, it is still putting pretty damn hard at that point. all this power in such a relatively short rev range just means it's really accessible. That it? Wow. This bike made that road really short. That's all I'm going to say. What a beast of a bike. It really is. Riding position is comfortable, it's pretty upright. It's kind of relaxing ride when you ride in a relaxing manner. But it's got a real wild side. And that wild side doesn't come at the expense of fear, because the chassis is really stable. It has the ability to lift the front end a little bit if you're going over bumps and undulations in third and fourth gear. But still, it's settled. Doesn't seem to get out of its depth while you're getting out of yours. Well, earlier on I found that I couldn't lift that screen one-handed while I was riding. Maybe it's my technique. I haven't tried it very many times. But we'll see if we can put it down easy enough. Yeah, it comes down easy. Oh, but nah, it's just not easy for me, with my left hand anyway, to lift that screen. But going down when you're entering a village or whatnot after spending a bit of time at speed, that is manageable. Now, I've got BMW S1000XR, as I said, and here on the tyre pressure screen you can see there's actually different tyre pressure ratings for one rider versus rider and passenger. I don't get that on the XR. Now, it might be in a manual somewhere for my bike if I go and take a look, but it's nice to have those options right on the screen for you to be aware of. So just a quick walk around, and also I haven't got a microphone on me, so I just have to talk quite closely to the phone. But here we are. I put it on the main stand so you can kind of see the bike upright and see it at all angles. And the first thing I have my attention drawn to from an ownership point of view is shaft drive. Me and chains have not had a good relationship over the years. I just don't like maintaining them. I don't like adjusting them. Certainly much more happy to have a shaft drive. But, you know, I can live with a chain, and I do live with a chain on all my motorbikes. So, not the end of the world. But shaft drive does make life easier. Up until about 50,000 miles, I think, on modern BMWs, on the 1300 range bikes, where the shaft does have to be changed. That is now a consumable item, which is a bit of a shame. Still, no maintenance basically while you're owning the bike on a daily basis, and that's quite attractive. As is the bike, I think. Been modernized over the 1250 range. Let me know if you prefer the look of the 1250 over this one, or whether you prefer this look. Let's have a look at the headlights, shall we? Let's switch it on and see what the headlights look like. Oh, that's running lights. How do I get the main lights on? That's interesting. Got the main beams at least. Ah, look at that. I was not expecting that. That's a separate set of lights. So I couldn't tell you right now which one's main and which one's dipped beam, to be honest with you. But a pretty impressive set of lights there where you are on main beam. What's happening at the rear? Now the BMW R1300R, the naked version, actually had its own rear light assembly. Oh, hold on, what's that back there? No, it's not a light. So you've got radar here and just the indicator / light pairing. Bit of a shame. I like a little bit of extra lighting at the back to complement what's going on at the front, but there we are. Okay, I have been on this bike far too long, I think, today, and I might get a bit of a telling off when I get back to the shop. So, hope you enjoyed this little look around as I've waffled away, but I need to get riding again, so let's go. So I get the feel that on a day-to-day basis, getting the bike on and off the main stand, pushing it around, getting it off the side stand, I think this bike would be a little bit easier to live with than my BMW XR. But would I want to trade in my S1000XR to own one in the immediate future? I think the answer is no. This bike is awesome. It really is. I said earlier on it would really have to do something special to make me consider trading it in. And as good as it is, nothing really made me go, that's not, I was about to say wow. Actually, the engine makes me go wow. And the suspension makes me go wow. And the shaft drive makes you go, yeah. But the XR does so many things well. This isn't bringing, you know, anything revolutionary to the table for me. But I like it, I love it.
Now it is interesting to note that following my test ride on this bike, I got back onto my XR, and in comparison, my suspension suddenly felt rather poorly damped, and the bike felt a bit bouncy in comparison. The suspension quality on the RS certainly is a step above my XR, my 2023 XR low suspension edition bike. But at the time of publishing, I still haven't put a deposit on an RS.
If I didn't have the XR, if I was shopping for a bike, I think this would be near the top of the list. But I have the XR, it's all paid for, doesn't owe me any money on finance. And yeah, going for this bike would cost me quite a bit of money. But the highlights, well, I just mentioned them. Engine is fantastic, in my opinion. A definite step above the 1250 unit. Very impressed with the suspension as well. I've sampled a little bit of the front brakes and they haul you down in a hurry. I do believe they're BMW branded Brembos, so no surprise there. And overall, it's just a very refined, very capable machine. But in the UK, I get the feeling they just won't sell very many. It's kind of it's an underrated bike. I kind of see it as a gentleman's KTM. A bit more grown up, but not boring, not at all. Hopefully you get to find out for yourself. If you're in the market for a sports touring type machine, this should definitely be on your to-do list. So what's the downsides to this bike that I've noticed? Well, there's not very many. Not impressed with the quick shifter overall, but you'll probably know that coming in if you know anything about BMW boxers and their gearboxes. The shaft drive replacement now at about 50,000 miles is a bit of a downer to long-term ownership, but in terms of a package to own and to ride, I can't detect any red flags. But if you got some points of view on this bike, something you think it does badly, something it's not very good at. Oh, do I get to overtake? I think I do. Oh, come on. Oh dear. What was I saying? Yeah. Maybe I've got BMW blinkers on. What don't you like about this bike? Or BMWs in general? Let's have a conversation. I can't tell you about vibration, there's very little. Now, granted, I've ridden the bike today for less than 100 miles. Unfortunately, for my channel, that's all I can do. I don't have long-term loan bikes. But in 100 miles on my BMW XR, I'd be shaking my hands now and again at this point. Vibration through the handlebars on my XR is a thing, definitely. Not as bad as the previous generation as I understand it, but still enough to make your hands tingle. That's not happening here. I feel nothing untoward through the seat, through the tank, through the bars. It's not electric bike smooth. You know, it's a 1.3 litre engine. And you feel it. You feel the thump of the engine when you accelerate. But nothing stands out. And it's nothing like a big engine KTM. So there we have it, with the police in front of me to keep me in check. This bike, it's a brute in a suit. It's a very sophisticated package, a refined motorbike, but it's capable of some real excitement and some real speed. And thank you to Cotswold BMW for letting me out of this machine. I'm hoping I haven't burnt my bridges by keeping it out too long today. It has been nearly 4 hours. I had mentioned the price. I did mean to mention the price actually earlier on. I had a little look at the configurator. The SE, I think, with the dynamic pack and the touring pack, I think it was. Anyway, one with quite a few toys added onto it. We're talking nearly, if not just over, £20,000 for a motorbike. That is kind of a bitter pill to swallow. To coin a cliche, you are getting a lot of bike for your money. But it would be on my shopping list if I was looking for a sports tour right now. It'd be up there. Right, I'm getting into the dark now, so I'm going to say goodbye. See you in the comments. Like and subscribe to see a bit more from me. So cheers folks, take care. Ta-da!